Aloha, adventurers. Welcome to Elevate Thursdays. Today, let's chat about how to trust yourself. Now, I'm not going to just do mindset stuff. This is going to be some practical tips shared to you about how to start building that trust. This is there are a lot of my clients and audience members who really don't know how to trust themselves in their business. So it stops them from moving forward in a way that could really elevate their business, right? So they're second guessing their decision making, they're second guessing their messaging, they're second guessing their content, they're second guessing every single step that they take in their business, which really hinders their ability just to move forward. Yeah. So, the reason why we want to deeply trust ourselves is because one, it feels really good, but also because it helps you just to move along through your business with a lot more ease. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm all about ease. I like it to be easy. And when we can trust in ourselves completely, we get to have that feeling most of the time, not all of the time, right? So, aloha to those who are watching on Instagram. Say hi to me. Hi to those who are watching on Facebook. Please drop me comments and let me know that you're here. And for those watching the replay, welcome, welcome. So, how to trust yourself. That is what we're chatting about today. And as I said before, we are definitely going to be doing I'm going to give you some practical tips on how you can start building this trust. Okay. So, I know a lot of people talk about trust and they talk about it all in terms of mindset. Yes, you can do mindset things, and there will be some tips that I give you of that. But I really want to give you some practical things you can actually go away and do that are going to help you to build your trust, right? Simple, easy, and effortless. Oh, yeah. Aloha to that person on Facebook. Please let me know who you are, or let StreamYard be part of your Facebook experience so I can see your name. Awesome. So, where does this, let's first start with why trust doesn't exist, okay? And some of the major reasons I see why it doesn't exist. And then after that, we're going to go into the tips that I have to build it, right? So, the main one is this: lack of trust comes in the fear of the unknown. Okay, so when we don't really trust ourselves for a certain situation, it's because it's an unknown, right? And unfortunately, there are going to be multiple unknowns in your business and in your life, right? You can never know completely 100% what is going to happen. Um, so this lack of trust comes in that fear, right? And fear fear in general is the ego speaking. Okay. So the ego loves to keep us safe. And if it doesn't know something, it's like, whoa, this is not safe. So I want you to pull back. And so it may present itself exactly as fear, or it hides itself and presents itself as lack of trust. Either way, it is rooted in the fear of the unknown. Yeah. So hello, Irina. Yeah. Oh, trust is your monthly goal. Well, this is just so perfect for you. Wonderful. So, have you ever had this lack of trust? And you know that it comes from, like, deep down inside, you know it comes from the fear of the unknown. You know, there are too many questions of like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Um, And this is really mind-boggling for you, yeah? If this is you, like, put your hand up, and I've been here, right? I've been here, so there's never ever any judgment because everything that you've done or doing is exactly what I've probably done or am doing, yeah? Yeah. So, how can we tackle this fear of the unknown? Well, as I said before, the ego wants to be involved when it's the unknown. Fear is an ego response. And so we really need to start tapping into our soul. Okay. Now we're going to jump into this a little bit more when we get into the tips, right? But I'm just giving you a little taster. Okay. So tapping into your soul is going to be one of the things that we dive into a little bit more. Yeah. So, where else does this lack of trust come from? And it was so interesting when I was asking myself this question. I was like, I want to, I was like, where does trust even come from? Where does lack of trust even come from? Because it seems like sometimes when I've talked about it or I've heard other people talk about it, it seems like this airy fairy washy thing that no one really has a grasp of what it is and what well they know what it is in terms of a feeling, but they're not really sure of like the origin of it or how to practically go about it. So this is what I want to give you here. Yeah. So the first one, what I believe, lack of trust comes in the fear of the unknown, which is, of course, fear is always related with your ego. So then what else? How else does lack of trust present itself? Yeah. And this was the other thing that I thought was quite important and I see play out a lot. Lack of trust comes in the want to control. So the fear of the unknown and the want of control are kind of flip sides of the same coin, right? And of course, if they're the flip sides of the same coin, they both come from ego. The coin being ego. Yeah. So lack of trust comes in the want to control. Again, the want of control is to control the unknown, i.e., make the unknown known. Yeah. So they are similar, but maybe the way in which I've separated them is calling to you specifically. Yeah. So when we have a lack of trust in ourselves, and you can ask yourself, is there a part of me that just really wants to control everything? Am I a control freak? Like, get honest with yourself. Yeah. Now, I know personally from my past, it has been a journey for me to let go of control. I am definitely a recovering control freak. I like things to be a certain way. I like to know the plans. And as I've stepped more and more onto this path of soul led business, and soul led life, which has been my journey for the last 8 years of entrepreneurship, um, the more that this becomes so important. Yeah. Letting go of the want to control everything. The truth is, with both of these things, the fear of the unknown and the want to control, is that you can't do anything about those things. Yeah. There is always going to be unknowns. Always, 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 always. And there is always going to be aspects of which you cannot control when things are out of your control. Those are like universal truths, okay? And they're things that you cannot avoid. And so, even when I say that, can you see how when you're putting energy into fearing the unknown or putting energy into wanting to control every outcome, it's a waste of time. Yeah, it's a waste of attention, it's a waste of focus, it's a waste of energy. Where this energy, this focus, this attention could be directed into trusting yourself, backing yourself anyway, backing yourself despite not knowing the unknown. Yeah, backing yourself despite knowing that you're not going to be able to control everything. Yeah. Having the ability to let go of the reins and go, whatever happens, I've got this. Yeah. Let me catch up on some of these comments. In aspects of my life, yes, big lack of trust. In others, so much faith and unwavering trust. Interesting. So now you get to ask Irina or whoever the Facebook user is. I'm assuming it's you. You get to ask, how do I, in the areas that I have complete faith and unwavering trust, how do I bring that same energy into the things that I'm not? Yeah. And we're talking specifically about business, right? So, are there areas in your business where you are not trusting yourself? And how do I bring in the same qualities of which I've practiced in other areas of my life into my business? And it is vital to let go. It is let go of control. Yeah. So now that I've put out the kind of two main points about why you probably aren't trusting yourself, yeah, fear of the unknown, the want to control, both of which are the same, like different sides of the same coin, the coin being your ego. Let's dive into the tips that I personally use to gain more trust and to build this trust muscle in me. Now, I want to leave you with not only like mindset stuff, like more knowledge, because this is how I see most people tackle this topic of trust. It's all about mindset stuff. And actually, there's very practical things that you can do in your life that will help to build the trust. Okay. So I'm going to give you a mixture of those. Now, one of them is what I had mentioned before, and that is tapping into your soul. So we're going to start from very esoteric Very airy fairy stuff to the very practical things, right? So the first one is tapping into your soul. Now, if these two things, if your lack of trust is rooted in either the fear of the unknown or the wanted of control, both of which exist in the egoic realm, then if you can return into your soul's essence, you start to realize and you start to feel who it is that you truly are. And who it is that you truly are is limitless, resourceful, absolutely 100% capable and more of doing anything that it is that you wish to do. Yeah. And so on a mindset energetic level, this is where you tap into your trust. Yeah. The ego is the one that runs the fear in you, right? The ego is the one that runs the fear, and it runs the fear to keep you safe, to keep you the same. Because if you stay the same, the ego knows what's going to happen. Okay. So it is controlling the situation. There is no unknowns. And I get to just make sure that you're safe because we know what is going to happen for you. Yeah. If you tap into your soul, this is going to allow you to realize that whatever happens, whatever happens, I've got myself because I am a limitless, resourceful being at my essence. I am more than capable of handling whatever comes to me. Yeah. So, as I said, we're starting from the very esoteric, airy, fairy side of tapping into your trust. And then we're going to go into the very practical things because I don't want to leave you there because I hear a lot of people talk about that, right? So, if your lack of trust comes from your ego, which it does, then one of the ways that you can get into more deep trust of yourself in your business is to tap into your soul. Yep. Take time to connect in with the essence of who you truly are, right? And I'm sure that each and every one of you has some kind of practice of which you do that. Yeah, whether that's meditating, whether that's going for a walk in the forest, whether that's journaling, there is a way of which you get past your ego and you start to realize who it is that you truly are. That is your limitless essence. That is your soul. Yeah. So, this is one way of doing it. Now, let's get a little bit more practical. Another tip that I would give for how to trust yourself in your business is this: get comfortable in the unknown. Now, I know a lot of people say this and they're like, you just need to get comfortable. But how do you get comfortable with that? Yeah. And how you get comfortable with that is to purposely put yourself in situations of discomfort. Purposely. And the reason why you do it purposefully is this: one, you give your ego a modicum of control, right? Because it's choosing. You're going, right, ego, we're going to choose a situation of which I know I'm going to be quite uncomfortable with. Okay. So you almost take away some of that unknown for your ego, but you are equally challenging yourself to be in a situation of discomfort. And when you're in the known situation of discomfort, you get to sit in it and marinate in it and feel how you change in that situation. Yeah. Now, for me, this is one of the most fun ways of building trust for myself because I am aware that I have literally chosen to be somewhere discomforting for me, yeah, uncomfortable for me. And I get to, having known that I am stepping purposely into that space, I get to become the observer of all of my physical sensations, like adrenaline will be running, stress thing will be running. I get to watch all of my thoughts, which are crazy, right? It's like, oh my God, you can't do this. Why did you do this to yourself? Blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And I get to just sit in that observer seat and really get to know how it is that I work, have habitually worked in terms of being in the unknown. Yeah. So, one of the ways that you can start to trust yourself more is to get comfortable in the unknown. And what I mean by that is don't just like get comfortable in the unknown, go and put yourself purposefully in situations of discomfort and start to become the observer of how it is that you think, how it is that you feel, how it is that you act. Yeah. And then you can do, as Edina said, you can start to bring in the sensations, the thoughts, the actions of the times of which you are totally in deep trust of yourself into this particular specific situation of discomfort. Okay. And what I mean by this is you'll probably notice in the areas of which you are not uncomfortable, where you totally trust yourself, if you take it on a purely physical level, you're probably breathing nice and deep, your heart rate is lowered, you're not thinking that much, you're just like enjoying the moment, yeah? And you get to do the same, regulate yourself in this situation of discomfort that you have purposefully placed yourself in. Okay. So, this is what I mean by practical, right? We get to play with something very practical that is with us all the time, which is our body. And our body can help us regulate those very physical signs of lack of trust, which is usually stressful things. And we get to bring that into places of discomfort. So then we train ourselves to get comfortable in the unknown. We are purposefully training ourselves to get comfortable in the unknown. Now, I know I just went on a huge dump of things there. Let me know if this is making sense. Drop me a yes in the comments. Hello to those on Facebook. Aloha to those watching on Instagram, and for those watching the replay. So, is this tip useful for you? Are you seeing how, instead of it just being airy fairy, like get comfortable in the unknown, you're actually going to take some steps to do that? Yeah. So, if you are lacking trust in yourself, the way that you get comfortable in the unknown is to put yourself in a purposeful situation of discomfort and then become the observer of how it is that you are reacting to this discomfort. And then from that observer place, use very physical bodily cues to help yourself self regulate. Yeah. So slow your breathing down. Yeah. That's the first thing. Slow your breathing down. What are the thoughts that you would have if you totally trusted yourself, which you have in the past? Bring them into this situation. Yeah. And it is in this way that you are putting yourself in a literal training ground to trust yourself. Yeah. So wonderful. So that's the first practical step. See, I said we're actually going to get practical, right? I wasn't just going to leave you with airy fairy stuff about how to trust yourself. Well, just get comfortable in the unknown. What does that mean? I've given you a very practical way of doing this. Let me know if it's useful. So the second way is this, okay? And again, very, very practical. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I know you've heard this. What does it mean? It means this. And I know you know what it means because it's very literal. You're going to feel fear at a lot of turning points in your business. Yeah. And you're going to feel it and you're going to take the necessary action steps anyway. Yeah. Now, this is what is so useful. This is where the situation is so useful to have someone like a coach or some kind of support group, because sometimes we get really stuck in our fear and it's like, oh my God. And then you can lean on those people and go, I need some help. I need some moral support here to just kick me up the ass to go and do the thing that I know I need to do. Yeah. So feel the fear and do it anyway. This one actually reminds me of a book by Dan Millman called The Life You Were Meant to Live. And in that book, he outlines what he calls the law of action. And the law of action goes like this. It basically says your body is capable of doing anything, anyway, despite what is happening in your mind. Now, that is just like, it's so practical, right? So, what usually stops our body, what we think controls our body is our mind, but actually, physically, on a very physical level, your body is capable of moving despite what your mind is thinking. Now, you would see this when you're like, say, you're getting really exhausted and you're getting really tired, but your body can just keep going. Yeah. Now, often we mistakenly tie our brain to our capabilities of our body, which isn't true. Our body is capable of far more than what our brain lets us do. And so taking the law of action is basically this of feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Your mind can be telling you all of the reasons why you can't do it. It can be pulling in all of the reasons why you shouldn't trust yourself and why you should feel the fear, why you should run away. And despite that, your body can literally go and press play on a live and turn up. Yeah. It can literally go pick up the phone and call that person you're meant to call. It can literally type away content and press enter and post it. Okay. So, despite what your head is saying, your body can do it. Yeah. So, feel the fear, take the action. Now, the third tip that is practical but still working in the head a little bit is this: give your mind evidence or give your ego evidence of when you've successfully navigated the unknown. So, Erina brought up that there's some areas in her life where she completely trusts herself. And this is a perfect place to go when you are feeling the fear, when you are feeling like you're not trusting yourself. Give your mind evidence of when you have successfully navigated the unknown, where you have successfully trusted yourself before. Okay. So it would be like this: it'd be like, brain, ego, listen to me. The last time that we had an unknown situation was this, and we did it anyway, and this was the outcome, and it was awesome. Okay, so you're going to start giving your mind or your ego evidence of when you've successfully navigated the unknown. And what this is that it's using logic, which is what the mind loves, it's what the ego loves. It's using logic to battle with your mind. So the logical part of you is probably going, you can't do this because of the blah, 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 right? And then you give it logical evidence of which you have done this really well before. Yeah. And the more evidence that you give your mind, the more on board it's likely to be with you. But as I said before, it doesn't even need to be on board with you. You can feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah. The easier way is when your mind is on board with you, though, right? So I hope that I've given you four really great tips of how to trust yourself more in your business, because you're never going to get away with this. There is always going to be situations of when you're like, oh, feeling it. I'm not feeling like I'm trusting myself. And this, personally for me, every time I up level, I've got a new level of trust that I need to anchor into. Okay. And each of these tips that I have given you are things that I have personally done. I personally love the very practical things, the things where I take my body into situations. So the putting yourself in situations of discomfort, I love those ones because it gives me really physical, concrete evidence in the moment that I'm actually going to be okay, that I can back myself. So for me, this comes in forms of doing sport. So when I'm in the surf, I like to go in like slightly bigger waves that make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And the reason that it feels so fun is the adrenaline rush, yes, but also because it builds a whole level of trust for me. Because when I get out of the water and I'm fine, I'm like, oh, that wasn't anything to be scared of. I can back myself. I've got myself. Yeah. I used to do things like walk along high level beams and things. So if was in a park and I saw a bridge over a river, I'd walk on top of that. Now, it was more for the learning to trust myself, learning to trust my body. Yeah, my body's got me. If my body's got me, my mind's got me. I've got me. Yeah. So this is what I mean by getting comfortable in the unknown and putting yourself in situations of discomfort. That for me is one of the most powerful ways that you can come back into trusting yourself. The other ones equally work. And as I said before, they're the ones that I also have used, but the ones that I feel like really juice me up on all levels and give me a huge ego boost as well is the physical ones where I take my physical body into situations of discomfort and I successfully navigate that. Yeah. So I am interested. So your home play, this week, if you choose to play, is to jump into something new and exciting. I didn't put scary, but I kind of meant that. New and maybe discomforting a little bit this week. I really want you to choose something that you would love to have done. Okay. So maybe you're like, I really wish that I had joined a dance class, but I've been scared about it. Or I've really, so I want you to choose something that is fun for you, like you really want to do it, but it is new and it is slightly scary. Okay. And you're not trusting yourself. Yeah. And I want you to go and do that thing and notice how it turns out. Yeah. Notice if you can bring in some of what we have talked about today into this moment where it is uncomfortable for you. Yeah. And notice how it turns out. And then report back to us. So let us know how your home play goes. And you can either drop that comment underneath this post, or if you're in the Soul Led Business Revolution, you can do a completely new post and hashtag home play and let us know how your experiment went. I would love to see if this helps you to trust yourself more, because this is imperative for you to continue to grow in your business. Alrighty, if there are no questions, I will wrap up for today. And of course, if you're watching the replay and you do have questions, drop them into the comments of this live. I come back and I answer every single question that you have, so don't feel like you've missed out. And as per usual, I will be here nearly every Thursday. Sometimes I miss every Thursday, but pretty much every Thursday, 11 o'clock New Zealand time. I am live on Thursdays to give you another topic to help you to elevate your business. All right, lovelies. I am so happy for you to join me. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I will catch you very soon. Bye for now. Mwah.